Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us again this week for our show. We're always happy for people like you, people who are interested in what's happening in our cities. It is important for good government that there be a back and forth with ideas and information between the city councils and the mayors, the city staff, and the city residents. So we're glad that you're interested. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area that'll bring us some updates on what's happening in that city and what's going to be happening in the future. So we're glad that you're with us, and we're happy to welcome Mayor Kelli Slavik tonight from Plymouth, who's been on our show before.
Yes, thank you.
So we're glad to have you update us, let us know what's going on in Plymouth.
Sure, happy to be
and
here.
Then ahead of time, I let you know that I want you to introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Give them a little information about yourself, because people who aren't from Plymouth might not know much about you and about your time and your background in the city.
Sure. Well, this is my 11th year as mayor of Plymouth, and I have 1 more year left on my term. Okay. Prior to becoming mayor, I served on the city council for 8 years in Plymouth. So by the time my term is up in 2018, I'll have 20 years into city government.
That's pretty good.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve the residents of Plymouth. It's something I really enjoy, and I've lived in Plymouth since 1991. And I've raised 2 teenagers. One's finishing her last year of high school, and I have a sophomore in college. So they still keep me pretty busy because they're both still heavily involved in sports.
Right.
And so, but I try to be very active as mayor too when I serve on the State Board of Firefighter Training and Education, as well as the Plymouth Civic League, the Municipal Legislative Commission, and also Plymouth Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. So I really like to be active and bring all kinds of interest to the city of Plymouth, and really work to foster a very open relationship. And I'm also on a mission to get out to all the Plymouth businesses and meet with business owners and see what their needs are and how the city can assist them. So it keeps me quite busy. It's definitely a full-time job, but I really love the work, and I have great staff to work with.
And that gives you a lot of background information when it comes to the issues that you're dealing with.
Absolutely, it does.
And then I asked you to think about a little bit about the early history of Plymouth, something that maybe people out there don't know, kind of share with people out there.
Sure. Well, I think, Plymouth was originally, it was a very small town. I mean, up until the 1970s, it was mostly gravel roads and lots of farms. But I think something unusual people may not realize was that Medicine Lake is within the city of Plymouth. Right. The city of Medicine Lake is. But in 1858, in May, the townspeople got together and they decided to rename Plymouth Medicine Lake. That lasted for 1 meeting, and for reasons nobody knows, the name went back to Plymouth. So we were almost Medicine Lake, but for some reason we went back to being called Plymouth. So
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Sure.
That's always kind of fun to hear.
It is.
Things that happened and your puzzlement about them.
Right, yes.
Now, I thought we'd do some updates on your fire department.
Sure.
A little bit for people in the other cities is how is your fire department organized?
Sure. Well, we have 3 fire stations in Plymouth, and we're still a paid-on-call fire department, which means that if there's an alarm, people are called in and they're paid as volunteer firefighters. Right. However, we also operate under the duty crew system, where 2 of our 3 stations are staffed from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And if there's a call comes out, there's somebody at the station already, and they can get there very quickly. And if it requires more than 4 firefighters, we'll put out an additional call, and then our paid on-call staff will come in. So the duty crew program is really a way to be more efficient, to provide more training opportunities, and to get somebody to the call as quickly as possible, and then they can request additional backup if necessary.
Now, this is during the summer, you had a push to get more people, but
Sure.
I'm sure your fire department always has some need for people to be added to it. Maybe you could talk to that issue a little bit.
Sure. Well, typically in June of each year, we open up our application process, and it's a very intensive process. You have to fill out an application, then go through an interview process. There's some screening, there's interviews, references are checked, there's a physical activity test, there's a commitment meeting, and then a background check is done. And then the training actually starts. It really takes about several months. Even up to 6 months to get all of that training in. So we are continuing to look for additional firefighters. We are authorized to be at 78 firefighters, and we're hopeful that with this new group of applicants we've received that we'll get to that full strength. But it is a bit of a challenge to always to recruit new firefighters. Things are changing, and it's not, I think, as easy to, people aren't as home as often as they used to be, where they could quickly respond to the fire. We're out, we're busy, we're doing things, we're enjoying our community, and we're at parks and spending time with our kids. And so it's we're trying to be more adaptive and be a little bit more flexible when we're bringing in new firefighters as well.
And then your firefighters are having a 5K run walk on, let's see, September 23rd.
Yes.
Starting at 9 a.m. Maybe you can fill people in on this activity.
Well, that is an exciting day in Plymouth because the Firefighters 5K walk or run really kicks off. It's then we have the Plymouth Parade right after that at 10:30. So, but you can pre-register, and it's $20. If you pre-register, it goes up, I believe, to $25 after that pre-registration closes. But you can also just show up at Fire Station 2 on the day of the race, and you can register right there. It's at Station 2 at 1200 Rockford Road. And there's also a kids fun run that kicks it off as well, which they can either do a half a mile or a mile. And all money and proceeds raised that day go to Plymouth Crime and Fire Prevention Fund.
An important run, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And your fire department is also going to have an open house this fall. When is that going to be, and what will people see if they go?
Sure, that'll be Saturday, October 14th. That's at Fire Station 3 at 3300 Dunkirk. It's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it's really a fun event. It's just opening up the fire station for people to come. If the pumpkin crop is good, they can usually get a free pumpkin. It's a little weather dependent sometimes. But we have lots of different public safety personnel there. We usually get a helicopter there. Kids can go through the fire truck. They can spray a fire hose. We have ambulances there. And all kinds of water rescue vehicles, and they can kind of see everything and touch the tools, meet firefighters. We have police officers there as well. We usually get, we have refreshments there. We usually get some restaurants in the community to come and donate their time and their food products to serve our community. We have crafts available and kind of little small giveaways as well. So it's really neat for kids and adults to get into our fire department. All these facilities are owned really by our community. And so we really relish the opportunity to open up the doors and have people come in and walk through and ask questions and learn more about public safety.
Now, development and redevelopment is going on, but Plymouth has more development going on than some of the other cities because you still have some open spaces. What are some of the commercial development projects that are happening in Plymouth?
Okay, well, Plymouth is a little bit unique. We do have some new commercial developments going on. We don't have a lot of raw commercial space left in our community. So what we're seeing is a lot of redevelopment where existing businesses that have been vacant or are becoming vacant are being redeveloped into new uses. And so most of the raw land is slated for residential development. So there's just, I think in the Northwest Plymouth area, there's one small neighborhood retail space available. But so for the most part, we're seeing redevelopment in our existing
so you're moving into
areas.
like a different area, right?
Yes, we are. But we do have 4 hotels, really, which is something interesting for Plymouth that are moving into the community. 2 of them are in the Four Seasons development, and I think we'll talk about that a little more later. But then we also have a Hilton Home 2 Suites opening at near 494 and Fernbrook. And then we have another hotel opening called Water Walk. And then we have two very recent reinvestments in existing businesses. One of them is Wagner Spray Tech. They're adding about 50 new jobs and expanding their facility, doing some more R&D. And then Banner Engineering is doing a very large expansion on their facility, kind of on the east end of Plymouth off of Highway 55 and County Road 73, and they're adding 225 new jobs. So that's quite a significant development, and we're really excited to see them expanding into Plymouth. And they've been here for a number of years, and we're very pleased that they've chosen to stay in Plymouth.
Yeah, maybe we should update people on what's happening on that Four Seasons area, because people drive by and they wonder what's going on there, when, whatever. So give us an update on the status.
Sure. Well, Four Seasons is at 169 in Rockford Road, and it's a closed strip mall. It's been closed for quite a number of years, and there's been a lot of challenges to the site. It's really kind of been, it's deteriorated over the years. And it has great access, but there's also poor soils on the site. And so this, the strip mall needs to be removed. There's really no further use for it. But we're really excited to be working with a developer that has a lot planned for the site with some senior housing, 2 hotels, some retail, some office building, and also a large component of it is going to be a parking ramp, which will also house a park and ride facility that the city of Plymouth is partnering with. And they have some really great open spaces where they're hoping to do some sort of smaller scale farmers markets or have some public art out there. They've even talked about showing movies out there and just providing a gathering space for for the community in that section of town. So it's pretty exciting. They're in the final process of closing on the site, purchasing it from Walmart, and we're looking forward to seeing some construction probably start next spring.
Because that's been a long time coming, right?
It certainly has. We're very excited to see something happen on that site.
And it sounds like lots of interesting things coming there for your city.
Yes, I think it'll be very diverse, and it will provide that hotel piece of it will bring in, some new traffic, but we're also hoping that it provides a service to the neighborhood surrounding it with some of the restaurants and retail that'll be available.
And then part of the city council and the mayor's job nowadays is to encourage commercial development in your city. Maybe you can speak to that issue just a little bit, because if you went maybe 15, 20 years ago, they weren't doing that.
Right, that's true. That's true. Commercial development really plays an important role in everybody's city. It provides a diversified tax base, so when you have issues like we did back in 2008 where the economy is lagging and residential housing is taking a hit, typically commercial properties will start to grow a bit their values, and that really, with that diversified tax base, it really kind of levels out your economy within your city. So it is very important, and I think the thriving business community really adds to the fabric of your community. We have great businesses in Plymouth, and we're really a med tech hub. We have the 4th largest economy in the state of Minnesota. And so our businesses really contribute a lot to our community. They volunteer, they provide jobs, they really are looking for ways to be connected to the community. So
that's important.
It is. We're very grateful, and we've worked hard to make some changes in Plymouth. As you mentioned, we were kind of more reactive. When a business came to Plymouth, we said, "Oh, great, come on in." But we've since in the last few years we've hired an economic development manager that is more proactive, that reaches out to existing businesses in Plymouth, and her and I do a lot of business visits, and we're trying to get to as many businesses as possible and saying, what do you need? How can we help you be successful? What will keep you in Plymouth? And here's how you can contribute to the community. Here's how we can assist each other and both give back to each other. So it's really been a win-win situation. We've seen a lot of excitement around it, and we've developed some additional programs to really help our businesses.
Yeah, it's an important part for all of our cities.
It is, yeah.
That rather than just competing with other cities, right?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, because, I think it's important to work together as a region, too. We don't want to be, pitting ourselves against our surrounding communities, or Maple Grove or Minnetonka. We want to work together and keep our region strong.
Right. And then the other aspect is the residential development. Is there any new projects or ones underway in that area?
Oh yes, there's lots of new residential development happening. We last year we had about 450 new residential permits, which is up from previous years. So we're continuing to see real great interest in moving into Plymouth. A lot of our newer residents say that they're moving to Plymouth for the quality of life, but also schools.
That's important.
Have young families, and they're looking to get into thriving school districts. Plymouth's fortunate to have 4 school districts, and we have a great education system in place, and so as we're continuing to grow, we need to do it thoughtfully as well, because we need to provide infrastructure to these new housing developments that are coming in. And so the majority of them have been single-family homes, about 96%. And about 4% townhomes and multifamily. But we're starting to see a little bit of a shift where we might see, even in some redevelopment projects, we might see some more multifamily types of housing, and very diverse housing as well. We're starting to see, as people are retiring, they want to stay in Plymouth. They might not necessarily be ready to go into some sort of managed care facility, but they want to downsize. They want to still have their independence and still have a home. And so we've seen a lot of smaller but still high quality homes being built that maybe have one level but still have all the the nice touches that they've had in the home where they've raised their children, but they're just kind of downsizing and staying in Plymouth. So we're seeing a demand for that type of product in our residential housing. But I think that is important because we want to make sure we're providing the whole life cycle housing where people, if they want to start out in an apartment or a smaller house, and as they raise their family, if they choose to have families, they have space to do that, and then when their children are gone or they don't need that so much space anymore or don't want to maintain so much space, they have the ability to kind of downsize and stay in our community. And then we do have several senior housing facilities as well that, and we're starting to see a lot more facilities provide memory care as well.
That's important.
It is, and nursing facilities. So we're really, those facilities have really started to get more involved with the city and let us know what services they offer, and to make sure that our residents are aware of that.
So is this individual houses springing up here and there, or is there some developments where they're doing more than a small number? Yeah,
they're a little bit larger scale developments where we're seeing anywhere from 40 to 50 up to a couple hundred housing developments going in different neighborhoods.
And then how does both of these areas, commercial and residential, how does that fit into your comprehensive plan? Because we'll talk about that a little bit later, but how do those two work together?
Sure. Well, as we update our comp plan, it's in place for roughly 10 years. And so when we've made sure that we've accommodated our infrastructure for the growth of residential, and also to maintain and provide expansion in the commercial areas as well. And so we really try to follow that comp plan as much as possible, but understand that it can be a flexible document as well.
Certainly.
And we've had people successfully request changes and unsuccessfully request changes as well. We try, the plan, it's a planning document, but it does need to provide some adaptations as things are developed and you start to look at a more specific piece of property. If you can maybe downsize a development to save more trees or to provide for wetlands, you need to have that adaptability built in.
And then where does Plymouth fit into the idea of life cycle housing?
Sure. Well, that's really important. As I mentioned, we're starting to see the demand for people kind of wanting to downsize a little bit, and we've had several senior housing facilities open up, and they're really excited to be in our community and are hosting night parties and inviting the whole neighborhood, and having open houses, and really getting out in the community and volunteering and getting involved in city government. So we see as people are aging, they're wanting to stay in Plymouth and still be active in our community.
Right,
We love
right,
that, whether they're
right.
volunteering at the library or in schools or coming to City Hall and telling us what we should do different or what their needs might be.
Right.
It's really a great opportunity for them to keep that connection to the city.
Then let's switch and talk about Plymouth's Park and Recreation Department.
Sure.
Maybe you can tell a little bit about what's involved in, because you opened your Northwest Greenway project. Maybe to speak to that just briefly to give people an idea of what's happening there.
Sure. Well, the Northwest Greenway, as we've developed Northwest Plymouth, the city has worked really hard to set aside land because we don't want to see it completely developed and it's beautiful, it has trees and wetlands and rolling hills. We've really worked to maintain a sense of that open space in our community, and we have it in all four corners of our community. But as this was developing, we made sure that landowners were willing to participate, set land aside, or if the city needed to purchase land or get it land traded in lieu of park dedication fees. We've been really successful in pulling together that, and we have about 350 acres of open space. And so we have this Northwest Greenway that is a paved trail that will kind of loop through the area. And we made sure that we have places for people to recreate. And the trail's beautiful. When we did the opening in June, the project, the Northwest Greenway project, was about 75% complete. So we still have some more work to do. But really, the completion was getting the pedestrian trail over Vicksburg Lane, and so that was kind of the genesis of having this kind of big grand opening. But in conjunction with the grand opening, we had volunteers out along the Greenway, and they planted over 1,500 trees. We were really excited about that. That the community was, wanted to buy in and be a part of the process and the legacy that this will leave. Because once you kind of start building, it's really hard to start tearing those building downs and create open space. So you really need to set that aside prior to building. And so we made some great trail connections as well when we had that opening in June. We invited the community to come out and celebrate with us. It was really fun.
So they can hike within that greenway, but they can also get out to other trails, right?
Yep, the Northwest Greenway will connect to other regional trails in the area. And it's not just a trail. We're developing some trailheads, and we'll have 3 trailheads once they're all completed. And we will have parking, restroom facilities, we'll have water. At 2 of our trailheads, we're looking to do some type of building where people can rent the room or have some sort of picnic shelter. Those 2 of those trailheads are still in the works, and so we haven't really finalized the plans. But that's just some of the concepts that we're talking about. Is giving a place for the community to gather and not just have a trail, but if they want to host a picnic or a party or have some sort of get together, they'll have the space to do that.
And when would the Greenway be completed, do you think? Because you're anticipating, of course, it'll depend on what the future brings, right?
That's right. We still have a little bit more property to acquire as part of this process, but we're expected that, as I said, it's 75% complete. We're expecting that remaining 25% to be completed in about 2022. That's kind of the time frame we're shooting for now to get that all completed.
So it's moving along as you hoped.
Yes, it is, definitely.
And then I thought we better talk a little bit, because your Park and Rec department got 3 different awards this past year.
They did.
Maybe you can tell us about that.
Well, they received awards from the Minnesota Recreation and Park Association, and one of them was for the GIS program, the mapping system that our staff developed. Another one was for an event that we have. It's called Bark in the Park, and it's an opportunity. It's kind of like a open house for your pets. You could bring your pet, and there was vendors there, and treats and snacks and food trucks, and it was a real fun event. A lot of people came out and enjoyed that. And then the third award was, we had a program called #PlymouthParks, and Spotted in the Parks, where we would have staff take photos of people out enjoying our parks, and then we'd post them on social media under the #PlymouthParks, and people got really excited about that, and we found them kind of congregating in our parks a little more often to try to get on that social media piece, which was really fun.
Kind of a fun way to promote your park.
It is.
A different idea of promotion than in the past.
Definitely, for sure.
And then Plymouth's Ice Center is undergoing some renovations. What are you going to do, and what's the update on that?
Sure. Well, we have started doing the renovations. That facility is 17 years old, so
okay.
it was definitely due for some upgrades. The roof needed to be replaced, and we've had a lot of requests from the hockey community we had an Olympic-sized rink, and that kind of fell out of vogue, and especially with the younger skaters, it was larger than your average rink, and they didn't necessarily want to be taxed so much on that ice, on that piece of the ice, as we have 3 rinks there. And so we're downsizing the Olympic size to a professional size, and that will create energy efficiencies. It will also provide additional space for the hockey associations to have a place to warm up. Where now they're trying to, jog up and down the bleachers or find some space to do warms up. Now they'll have a dedicated space to do that. And we're also federally mandated to convert our refrigerant to something that's more environmentally friendly. And so that is a part of this project as well. So it's a big project. We've continually requested bonding funds from the state of Minnesota to invest in this facility, as it is a regional facility. It's one of the busiest ice arenas in the state. We've received some funding, smaller amounts through the Mighty Ducks program, and also through Wayzata Youth Hockey has made some sizable donations towards the project. But we were hoping to get some, additional funding through state bonding, and we'll probably keep continuing to try until the project's complete. But it's a great facility in our community, and we're hosting 2 national events there in 2018. So we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of people coming into our community to watch hockey and to watch adaptive hockey as well. There's going to be the high school national tournament will be there. So it'll be a busy facility. So that's one reason we're trying to get these upgrades in place before
you get to there.
National events, yes.
And then you have a new pump track. Now this is for roller skaters. Tell us what it is and where it is.
Sure. Well,
what it offers.
Sure. It's very unique. I think we are the only pump track in Minnesota, and it is a track that is it's an oval track, but it's wavy, and so you can use a bike or a skateboard, and you use your body weight to kind of propel you over these hills.
Interesting.
And it's very unique. We're excited about it. It's 210 feet of a loop track, and you also need gravity to kind of work with you as well. So it's a bit of a challenge if you're not used to it, but it's in Plymouth Playfields at 9755 36th Avenue North, and so it's a great opportunity to bring some additional types of recreation to our community and some diversity for kids to try different things, and adults too.
And it's important to kind of keep up with, as recreation changes, keep up with where it's at.
Yes. Yep, and not everybody wants to be at a playground or to play tennis, and so we want to provide as much diversification in our system as possible.
That sounds like an interesting facility.
Yes, try it.
I've never heard of it before.
I hadn't either until it came to Plymouth.
A challenge.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking your time and your experiencing and sharing it with our audience out there. And we encourage you to tune in next week for part 2 on Plymouth's issues. We're glad that you've been with us, and come back again. Bye.